Sharmin Mary, Head Department of Information Technology, Wow Vajiha Men's College, Koilpatnam. Today's topic is relationship set. First, let us know what is entity. Entity is an object that is distinguished from all other objects. For example, student is an entity. Now let us see what is relationship. A relationship is an association among several entities. For example, student is one entity, instructor is another entity. We have a relationship between student and the instructor. That relationship is advisor. Every student has an advisor and each and every instructor has a student. So these two entities set having a relationship set with advisor. A relationship set is represented by mathematical notation among n greater than or equal to 2 entities. Entity 1, entity 2, there are so many entities. Each entity belongs to a relationship capital E1. So this relationship set is represented by capital E1. For example, student entity, that is one number is represented 44553. Similarly, instructor entity number is 22222. Belongs to advisor relationship set. So this diagram represents the relationship set between instructor entity and student entity. An attribute can also be associated with the relationship set. Attribute can also be associated with the relationship set. For example, in this instructor entity and student entity, the both entities, one common attribute is involved with the relationship set. For example, one common attribute is date. Which student joined the course with this corresponding instructor. So this date is which tracks when the student started the course associated with that advisor. So this is the common attribute that is making a relationship between student and instructor. The next one is degree of a relationship set. Binary relationship involve two entity set that we can say as degree 2. If the two entity sets are involved in a relationship, then we can say it is a binary relationship. Suppose if there are three entity sets involved, means we can say that is called ternary relationship. But in most of our example, most relationships are binary. For example, students works on research projects under the guidance of an instructor. So this is an example for binary. Ternary example is a project guide is a ternary relationship between instructor, student and project. So in this example, here involved three entity set: instructor, student, project. So we can say it is a ternary relationship. The next topic is ER diagram. ER means entity relationship diagram. What is ER diagram? So this ER diagram is a design or blueprint of a database. So this ER diagram describes the structure of the database with the help of a diagram which is known as entity relationship diagram. So this ER model is a design or blueprint of a database. So this ER diagram has so many symbols. So many symbols involved in ER diagram. Symbols used in ER diagram is rectangle. Rectangle represent entity sets. Ellipses represent attributes. For example, if student is an entity, then it should be represented in rectangle. Ellipse means the attributes of the student. For example, student contain the attributes student ID or student register number, student name, student age, student address and student phone number. So these are all attributes. These are all attributes are represented in ellipse diagram. Then the relationship between both the entities is represented by relationship set, that is the symbol representation is diamond. Then line means which link the attributes to entity set, and similarly entity sets to relationship set. Multi-valued attributes is represented by double ellipses. Derived attributes is represented by dashed ellipses. Weak entity set is represented by double rectangles. Total participation of an entity in a relationship set is represented by double lines. Let us see with an example. These symbols used in ER diagram, let me explain in through examples. So this is the simple ER diagram. This diagram shows that there are two entities. Student is one entity set and another entity is college, and their relationship is study in. Each and every student study in a particular college. So study in is the relationship that is represented in diamond symbol. Entity student college is represented in rectangle symbol. Then oval symbol is for attributes. Here student ID, student name, student address are attributes. That is represented in oval symbol. Then components of ER diagram. So ER diagram, there are various components: entity, attributes, relationship. First one is entity having weak entity also. So entity means entity is an object or component of data. Entity is represented as rectangle in ER diagram. Here we have two entities. Student is one entity, college is another entity. Many students studying in one college. So this is the relationship in this diagram. M means many students studying in one college, in a single college. Attributes. Also here entity, we have also weak entity. Weak entity means it is represented by double rectangle. Here bank account is a weak entity. Weak entity means an entity that cannot be uniquely identified by its own attributes, and it relies means depends on the relationship with other entities called weak entity. So for example, an entity has not formed a unique identifier. Unique key means we can say that is a weak entity. Here bank account cannot be uniquely identified without knowing the bank to which the account belongs. So we can say the bank account is a weak entity. Attributes. Attribute describes the property of an entity. Attribute is represented by oval symbol. As already I explained, there are four types of attributes: key attribute, composite attribute, multi-valued attribute, derived attribute. First I explain key attribute. Key attribute means that uniquely identify an entity from an entity set. For example, the best example is student roll number or our students university register number that uniquely identify a student from a set of students. So key attribute is represented by oval symbol. However, the text of the key attribute is underlined. So here roll number is underlined. So from this diagram we say here the underlined attribute roll number is a key attribute. Composite attribute, it is a combination of other attributes. For example, composite attributes can be divided into many subparts. Here student is an entity, it contains attribute address. This address we can say it is a composite attributes. We can say the address can be divided into various subparts: pin number, pin, state and country. So this kind of attributes is called composite attribute. Multi-valued attribute, an attribute that hold multiple values is called multi-valued attributes. It is represented with double oval in an ER diagram. For example, a person having more than one phone number. So the phone number attribute we can say it is a multi-valued attribute. So multi-valued attribute is represented in ER diagram as double ovals. Then fourth category is derived attribute. So derived attribute is one we can calculate from the value from another attribute. For example, age, we can derive a person age from the date of birth attribute already given. So we are deriving from date of birth. We are calculating the age from the another attribute, date of birth. That type of attribute is called derived attribute. It is represented by dashed oval in an ER diagram. So this is the ER diagram example with multi-valued and derived attribute. Here student is an entity. Student phone number is a multi-valued attribute, so it is represented in double oval, and age is a derived attribute, so it is represented as a dashed line, dashed oval. Also student ID is a key attribute, so it is represented by underline. Then next, third category is relationship. So relationship is represented by diamond symbol in ER diagram. There are four types of relationship: one to one, one to many, many to one, and many to many relationship. First one is one to one relationship. So here best example for one to one relationship is a person has only one passport, and a passport is given to only one person. So this is an example for one-to-one relationship. When a single instance of an entity is associated with single instance of another entity, then it is called as one-to-one relationship. Next one is one-to-many relationship. When a single instance of an entity is associated with more than one instance of another entity, then it is called as one-to-many relationship. For example, a customer can place many orders. At the same time, many orders cannot be placed by many customers. But an order cannot be placed by many customers. This is one-to-many relationship. Many-to-one relationship. When more than one instance of an entity is associated with a single instance of another entity, then it is called as many-to-one relationship. For example, many students can study in a single college, but a student cannot study in many colleges at the same time. So this is represented as many-to-one relationship with diagram. Many-to-many relationship. When more than one instance of an entity is associated with more than one instance of another entity, then it is called as many-to-many relationship. For example, a student can be assigned to many projects, and a project can be assigned to many students. So this is the example for many-to-many relationship. Then last one is total participation of an entity set. So total participation of an entity set is represented by double line in this diagram. Total participation of an entity set represents that each entity in entity set must have at least one relationship in a relationship set. For example, in this diagram, each college must have at least one associated student. So each and every student study in college. So there is at least total participation of all the students that involved in college. So this is the example for total participation of college entity set in study in relationship. So each and every student, this indicates that each college must have at least one associated student. So this is the total participation of an entity set that is represented in double line. Thank you.